being a tennis player is trying to find the perfect racket to play with. Some people just naturally choose whatever racket their favorite player plays with, and that's cool. Other people choose a racket and they tinker with it constantly. Well, today I'm going to try to make that process a little bit easier for you. Today we're going to go through several play styles of tennis players, and I'm going to give you my recommendations on which racket is best for which type of player. Also, you should probably take all of these recommendations with a grain of salt because, yeah. So the way this is going to work is, Carlos is right behind me. The way this is going to work is I'm going to give you the style of player, and then I'm going to give you the best racket that I would recommend, and then I'll give you an honorable mention. Let's jump right into it. First up, we have the big server. Big servers hit big serves. They have rocket launchers for serves, and they get a lot of free points, a lot of aces, set themselves up really well. So big servers. Examples that I would give you are guys like Ivo Karlovic, Andy Roddick, and John Isner. The best racket I would recommend for a big server is the Pure Drive Plus. This is a rocket launcher of a racket. I know because I used it for 20 years. This thing has got easy power, especially on serves and overheads. It's a 100 square inch racket, and you can just drop bombs with this thing. It was Roddick's racket of choice his entire career. He never switched. It's just a bazooka. Honorable mention is the Yonex E-Zone 98. This is another great serving racket. Guys like Nick Kyrgios, who have a huge serve, very effective serve, a lot of pop on the serve with the E-Zone 98, so that's my honorable mention. Next up, we have the aggressive baseliner. An aggressive baseliner is somebody that likes to be aggressive from the baseline. They're not necessarily just mindlessly bashing the ball, but they have pretty strong, aggressive strokes, and they're trying to take control from the back of the court on the forehand or the backhand side. Examples of this would be guys like Stan Wawrinka, Alexander Zverev, and Rafa Nadal. The best racket I would recommend for an aggressive baseliner is the Babolat Pure Aero. Similar to the Pure Drive, and it came out a little bit afterward, this is Rafa's racket of choice. It's a very powerful racket in a little bit of a different way than the Pure Drive. Tons of spin, easy to use. It's a very easy racket to pick up and play with, and you can really crank forehands and backhands with it. It's my top recommendation for people that are aggressive baseliners. Honorable mention is the Head Gravity MP. This is another racket with a lot of easy power. It's a little more control oriented than the Pure Aero, but you can really crank the ball with this racket from the baseline. So I promise this isn't a Babolat fan video. They're just some of the better rackets for like power and aggressive players. So calm down. Next up, we have the Mindless Basher. A little bit different than the aggressive baseliner, because with the aggressive baseliner, there's still an element of tactics and strategy to their play. Mindless bashers are guys that just bash the ball. They're gonna win the point either by hitting a winner or just overpowering you, rushing you way too much. Some examples of players like this are guys like Juan Martín del Potro, Robin Soderling, and Jerzy Janowicz. Guys that just absolutely obliterate the ball. The best racket for a ball basher is literally any Babolat. Honorable mention goes to the E-Zone and or the V-Core 100. Great rackets to just literally grip and rip and send the ball for a ride. Next up, we've got counterpunchers. Counterpunchers are players that like to sit back, get into the rally, wait for their opponent to do something aggressive, and then try to counteract that with passing shots or putting their opponents in a tough situation. Some examples of counterpunchers are guys like Medvedev, Gael Monfils, and David Ferrer. The best racket for counterpunchers, I've got to again give it to the Babolat Pure Aero. It's just a great racket from the baseline. You can get a lot of spin. It's easy to react to the ball. You can still get a lot of pop with a shortened swing when you're very reactive to the point. So the Pure Aero, I think, takes the cake for a counterpuncher. Honorable mention is the Wilson Blade. It's another 100 square inch racket that's got quite a bit of pop that I could see being somewhat similar and interchangeable with the Pure Aero. Are you guys ready to flame me yet with all these recommendations? There's so many like racket brand fans and loyalists. I'm curious to see what you guys say in the comments. Next up, we've got the pusher or the junk baller. They're a little bit different than the counter puncher because the counter puncher, while they're patient and are waiting for you to do something, the junk baller or the pusher is really trying to disrupt your rhythm and give you off-pace stuff and screw you up with their junk. Examples of pushers or junk ballers, my personal favorite, Fabrice Santoro, also guys like Diego Schwartzman and Nishioka. The best racket for the junk baller, I'm gonna go with the Technofiber T-Fight series. Honorable mention goes to the Head Radical MP. Also an honorable mention goes to the Wilson Hyper Hammer 5.3 110 square inch. Only because it felt like every pusher and junk baller I played in juniors used this racket. Next up, we've got the Serve and Volleyer, the classic Serve and Volleyer. You don't see too many of them nowadays, but there are a few. One old school Serve and Volleyer, of course, was Pete Sampras, and a current day guy, which throws a lot of people off, is a guy named Maxime Cressy. The best racket for the Serve and Volleyer, I'm gonna give it to the Wilson Pro Staff 97. A classic racket. Sampras used a Pro Staff, smaller than a 97, but when I think of serve and volleying and precision shots, I think of that 97 or even a 95 square inch racket to really place your volleys well, so I'm going to give it to that one. An honorable mention would be the Yonex V-Core Pro 97. Next up, we've got the All Quarter. This is a player that can do anything. They've got solid ground strokes, they can finish at the net, they have a decent serve. They're just no real weaknesses, and they can play from pretty much anywhere. Examples of players like this is of course Roger Federer, Grigor Dimitrov, and Andy Murray. The best racket for an all-court player, I'm going to give it to the Wilson Blade. It's pretty much like the Toyota Camry of tennis rackets. It does everything really well. Honorable mention goes to the Wilson Pro Staff 97, and an honorable mention goes to the Babolat Pure Strike. And the last category is for the psychos. These are guys that when you see them play, you're just like, these guys are out of their minds. You correlate these rackets to dudes that are just out in left field. The best racket for psycho tennis players is any of the E-Zone line. Just look at Nick Kyrgios. Honorable mention goes to any Pro Connects racket because who the hell uses Pro Connects? If you haven't already, go down there and smash the subscribe button. I appreciate you guys hanging out. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.